The Buddha, symbol of transcendental wisdom. For many hundreds of years, symbolic of man's struggle for enlightenment.
No, it's Baha'i.
It says Buddha. It says Buddha there.
No, that's an H.
I was... sorry.
Baha'i.
Sorry.
Say it again.
The Baha'i faith, symbolic of man's oneness of being, etc. etc. Good afternoon. Today we are privileged and indeed honoured to have as our very special guest Ernest von Nuttenberg, who for many, many years has been a leading exponent of the Baha'i faith. Through the course of today's programme, we will together explore what it means to be a follower of this young, but I think vitally important faith. Mr. von Nuttenberg,
Hello.
perhaps you could give us a little bit of background on the Baha'i faith.
Certainly. The Baha'i faith is the youngest of all the world's independent religions. From its beginnings in Iran in the mid-19th century, it has since spread all over the world and embraced believers from almost every cultural, racial, social, and indeed religious background. The faith is a religion based entirely upon the teachings of its founder, Baha'u'llah. It is not a cult or sect within any other faith, but to assert that the Baha'i faith is independent of other faiths is not to say that it began in a religious vacuum. The religious matrix of the Baha'i faith was in fact Islam. Much as Christianity was born out of the messianic expectations of Judaism, the religion that was to become the Baha'i faith rose out of an Islamic background. However, the Baha'is are now entirely dependent of their parent religion.
Because, of course, the new faith first appeared in Persia, which is a predominantly Muslim country.
Yes, that's right. It then spread to neighbouring Muslim lands in the Ottoman and Russian empires and to northern India. Its religious ideas were drawn from the Quran, and they were primarily concerned in the fulfilment of Islamic prophecies and the interpretation of the Muslim teaching. The Baha'i faith is perhaps unique in that it is unreservedly accepts the validity of other faiths. Baha'is believe that Abraham, Moses, Zoroaster, the Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad are all messengers of one God, the teachings of whom are seen as paths to salvation, carrying forward an everlasting and ever advancing civilization.
That's very interesting because, like Muslims, I think I'm right in saying that Baha'is believe that God is one and utterly transcendent in his essence. I think I'm also right in saying that he shows his will to humanity through a series of teachers and messengers whom Baha'is such as yourself refer to as manifestations of God.
Yes, that's right. However, an important difference between the two faiths is that while the Quran designates only Judaism, Christianity, and Islam itself as directly inspired, Baha'is believe that all religions are part of one whole divine plan.
Could you perhaps expand a little on the fundamental attributes of Baha'is faith, what Baha'is such as yourself actually believe?
Yes, certainly. The main figures within the Baha'i faith in these early days were Bab and Baha'u'llah. Despite persecution and imprisonment, these two figures exerted a huge influence, and their writings have now been translated and published in over 600 languages. The faith has three basic principles: the oneness of God, the oneness of humankind, and the fundamental unity of religion. The Baha'i belief in one God means that the universe and all the creatures and forces within it have been created by one single superhuman and supernatural being or God. This God has total control over his creation as well as complete knowledge of it.
So in fact, you believe that Allah, Yahweh, God, or Brahma are all different expressions of the same being?
Yes, that's absolutely right. Baha'u'llah taught that God is too great and too subtle a being for the finite human mind to ever understand it accurately or to construct an adequate image of him.
You mentioned that the second basic principle was the oneness of humankind. Now, I find this quite fascinating because what it says to me is the entire human race is one unified unit. This unit, and I'm sure you viewers at home will agree with me, is the highest form of creation to the Baha'i, and indeed the only one to be aware of God's existence and to commune ably with his spirit. And this oneness also implies that all people have the same capacities and that differences in skin colour have indeed nothing to do with any superiority of one ethnic group over another. All ideas of racial superiority are rejected as false, imagination and indeed ignorance. And Baha'is would also believe, would I be right in saying, that prejudice, ignorance, power-seeking and egotism have prevented many people from accepting this oneness, and I suppose the central mission of Baha'u'llah was to change the situation and to draw the world's attention to this oneness in order to create a people favourable to the healthy growth and indeed development of all its members.
No. Yes, well, I really think you hit the nail on the head there, Gareth. Anyway, the third basic Baha'i principle is the unity of religion, and this is closely related to the principal oneness of mankind, which Gareth just gave a rather inaccurate description of. The unity of religion means that all the great religions' founders have come from one God, and that all these religions are part of one single plan directed by God. Hence, each religion represents a stage in the evolution of this plan, and the Baha'i faith represents the current stage of this evolution. We also believe in the unity of religion and of science and of the equality of men and women. Women, we say, have all the intellectual abilities of men, and it is only due to the greater physical strength of men that they have been prevented from achieving their true potential.
Now let us discuss, Ernest, some of the Baha'i practices within the Baha'i community. I've been told that one of the most important laws prescribed by Baha'u'llah for individual discipline is daily prayer and meditation. Books of the prayers of Baha'u'llah and indeed Abdul Baha, who is also very important within the Baha'i faith, have been published in many languages, and I think I'm right in saying that there's also a 300-page book consisting of Baha'u'llah's meditations written indeed in English. These books seem as though, to me anyway, as the base for Baha'is in their indeed devotional lives.
Yes, that's absolutely right, this smart ass. Anyway, that's not the point, because Baha'u'llah has also ordained a very, very special prayer to be said by each mature believer. This prayer bears witness to the oneness of their God and also their protector.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting, Ernest. Would you care for a glass of wine?
No. No, thank you very much indeed, because Baha'is are taught that we must not drink alcohol or use narcotic drugs. They can only be used actually for medical reasons, and in these circumstances only when they are unavoidable. Other than that, though, there's no limits to what you can eat or drink. Smoking isn't prohibited either, but I'm afraid that it is strongly condemned as damaging not only to physical health but also to the health of society as a whole. Sorry.
Some Alpen then?
No, not on your Nelly, because it's the middle of March, and that is when us as Baha'is, along with all the other Baha'is, begin to fast.
Good Lord.
Yes, that's right. We fast from March the 3rd, in fact, until March the 21st, because this coincides with a month we call Allah. And everybody has to do this, unless you're under the age of 15,
Right.
unless you're pregnant,
Yeah.
unless you're aged, unless you're ill for any reason, or unless you're engaged in heavy labour, in which case you're exempt.
I'm sorry to be so ignorant, but if you don't mind me saying so, Ernest, that's a bloody silly idea.
Well, as a matter of fact, Gareth, I do mind you saying so, Because you've really done it now, right? Because Baha'is have another practice that we don't criticise others. Never on an occasion do we criticise others. You know, but of course, naturally, there are always going to be times when you're concerned about someone. So,
troubles do exist.
Of course they do. Yes. So when these situations occur, we take it along to our local spiritual assembly,
right,
and we present it to them. And after that, that's it, we've got to forget all about it. No more criticising people going back.
Good Lord. That's Thatcher's Britain for you.
Funny you should say that, because Baha'is refrain from getting involved in politics of any sort.
Good Lord, and why is that, Ernest?
Well, the reason for this is that the Baha'is believe in unification of mankind. Hence, this cannot be achieved through politics, because all political instruments are limited and particular. This happens whether they be natural, racial, cultural, or ideological. However, this does not stop Baha'is, such as myself, for instance, from getting involved in processions within local social or moral issues, which are not part of partisan political debate. In fact, Baha'is have on numerous occasions, well, 3, been involved in such issues as racial equality and non-discrimination.
Fascinating. And talking of equality, Ernest, that's a rather attractive Catwoman we've got here.
Yeah, well, I should know. I've been married for 30 years.
Good Lord.
Marriage is regarded as both a spiritual and social institution affecting the couple and their children, as well as their parents, grandparents, and other relations.
Right.
A Baha'i wishes to marry must obtain consent of his or her parents, as well as those of the prospective spouse, obviously.
Yes, of course.
Marriages are therefore not arranged, but the couple is not free by themselves and without the consideration of their parents to make a decision which will ultimately affect or concern others.
Of course, it's quite well known that Baha'is enjoin chastity before marriage, of course because the sexual instinct is related to the procreation of children and the strengthening of the marriage bond.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And for this reason, absolute faithfulness between the partners when they're married is of great importance. Of course, yes. While marriage is by no means compulsory for a Baha'i, you don't have to get married,
right,
but it is strongly recommended, for it is considered a fortress for well-being.
That's very interesting because, well, like yourself, I've been married for quite a while, 47 years actually, and I couldn't help wondering, is divorce permitted in the Baha'i faith?
Well, yeah, it is permitted, but unfortunately it's strongly discouraged.
Yes.
Nevertheless, Baha'i teachings recognise that insoluble problems can develop in marital relationships, and therefore this obviously does occur when the couple is entirely unsuited.
Right.
However, when this does occur, the Baha'i teaches that the couple must live apart for a period of 1 year.
So a separation of 1 year.
That's right. And in this time they try to repair or get over the difficulties that caused the marriage to break down.
Yes.
And only if this fails can they then obtain a divorce. Yes, that's right.
Well, I think we've all been incredibly fascinated by what Ernest von Grottenberg has had to say. I know for sure that I have. In fact, I'd like to inquire about finding out more for myself. Is there a vicar or a priest I could pop along to see?
Well, I'm afraid we don't have clergy or professional ministries to spread the faith. What actually happens is that we have what we call a fireside, which is a meeting in a private home, friends, family, and it's completely open to the public, anyone who wants to come along. And these are held at regular intervals, as I said, and we explore Baha'i concepts, and it's really, it is ideal because we can explore them at the group's pace, you see.
Right.
So there's no question of you getting
ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but it's interesting. You mentioned no clergy or professional ministries. How do you spread your faith?
Well, we spread the faith not as you said by ministers,
no,
but with individuals and families. We do this by everyday situations. For instance, if we're talking to someone and we get an opportunity to speak about our faith, then we do so.
Right.
And this is very good and
very good.
But there are also we have Baha'i events every so often, which are open to the public.
Right.
And here people can come and we will teach them about the faith, and then if they would like to make a commitment, they are free to do so, obviously.
Well, that's absolutely great, Ernest. Well, viewers at home, I hope this has been as informative for you as it has for me. My thanks to Mr. Ernest von Vandenberg, also to our lovely camera woman, Mrs. Gretel von Toffenberg, and of course to myself for being an absolutely wonderful host. Thank you, all of you, for watching, and remember, you can't take your eyes off it, and you can only see it here, live on Humphrey Farm Productions.